Hey everybody, it's Nate here. Well, several people have asked me to do follow-up video on the boots, Muck and Lacrosse. I did a couple of videos several years ago, and I've been thinking about doing it. I was actually thinking about yesterday when I was hunting. I was thinking I got to do a video, and then I got home last night and I had a comment from somebody requesting it. So I figured I got a few minutes, so I'll do it right now. I'm going to try to get through this quickly. I don't want to spend a lot of time editing, so I'm just going to let it roll, and hopefully I can keep it concise and to the point. If you haven't seen those other videos, go back through and check them out. I was upset with Lacrosse. I had the Lacrosse Alpha Burley, and they sprung a leak and my feet were cold. And on that video I had purchased a pair of Muck Arctic Sport, and I really liked them. After that, the more recent video, I had a pair of Lacrosse Arrowhead 7mm and a pair of Muck Pursuit Glory. And my initial impressions of both boots were good, but the Lacrosse won out. It was slightly better. Well, now I've used them both for at least 3 years. I'd have to go back and check the dates, but I think it's been 3 years. And I hunt a lot. I hunt a lot of turkey in the spring, and I deer hunt in the fall. And I'm a big guy, so keep that in mind. I mean, I put the boots really through their paces. I'm going to start with the Lacrosse Arrowhead. This became my go-to boot for cold weather. It was definitely the warmest of the three boots I mentioned, the Muck Arctic Sport and the other Muck Pursuit Glory. So I always would wear this when it was going to be cold, but still my feet would get cold when it gets down into the teens and single digits. Even in the 20s, my feet would get cold sitting all day. So here's the lowdown on this boot. It's junk. Can you see this? That seam ripped. I patched it with Gorilla Glue, but it still leaks. I thought I could, get more use out of it, but it was pretty wet a couple weeks ago. I was down in Mass bow hunting, and I had to walk through quite a bit of water, and yeah, my feet got soaked. I was irritated. What I found is these boots have they're very comfortable when you're standing on flat ground. And I mentioned this in the other video, but when you're hiking through the woods and you're on a side hill or your foot hits a rock, they're wishy-washy. I mean, your feet foot rolls. So I don't know if that's why that seam broke, but I tend to think, rolling to the side, and just put a lot of stress on that seam, and it's no good. I mean, the rest of the boot is in pretty good shape, but can't get past that right there. So not happy with those at all. Now let's go to the Muck Pursuit Glory. This was the most expensive of the boots. I think the retail on them was pushing $300, and in the previous video I said they were overpriced. If you're going to spend that much money, you want a boot that's going to keep your feet warm. So this boot became my turkey hunting boot because it's not so cold, and I actually liked hiking through the woods better with this boot. More stable. You didn't feel like your foot was rolling over every time you stepped on a rock, and so that's what I used it mostly for, or deer hunting if it wasn't going to be cold. Now here's the lowdown on this boot. One, this ripped. Okay, that's junk. Two, and this happened about a year and a half ago, and I'm not sure, but this seam right here split open. I can stick my finger right into it. So if I ever step in water deeper than that, the water rushes in, my feet get soaked. So I've kind of taken these out of commission. The only time I'll use them is if I know I'm going to be if it's going to be dry, if I'm not going to go in any water. But other than that, I'm totally unimpressed. I mean, they didn't last 3 years, and I don't know what happened there. It doesn't seem. I don't think I poked it with a stick, because that's the back. I really don't know, but not happy with the Muck Pursuit Glory, the most expensive boot. Junk. Alright, now let's get to the one I got, the oldest boot, is the Muck Arctic Sport. I gotta say that this is a good boot. There's a little bit of damage here, you can see right there. I think I might have caught a piece of barbed wire or something, but they don't leak. They don't leak, and there's no real, other than that, I mean, all the seams are holding up. They're still in good shape. You know, the tread is okay. It's kind of worn. I've got a lot of use out of them. The heel is wearing down, but I've put a lot of miles on these boots. Really impressed with the Arctic Sport. I really am. And they're fairly warm. I mean, but my feet still get cold. I actually wore them today, and it was in 30 degrees, but I was walking in 8 inches of snow, and I decided to sit for about an hour, and my feet started to get cold after about an hour. But if I'm going to go out deer hunting and I know I'm going to be covering ground, this is the boot that I wear today. And these are, 4 years old, and they're still going strong. So I get good things to say about the Muck Arctic Sport. Alright, the other thing that was asked was, I want to talk about cold feet. My feet get cold, and that day when I had the Lacrosse Arrowheads on and I stepped in the water, it was over 35, 40 degrees, and my feet were freezing all day, and I was hoping to get through this deer season without having to buy another pair of boots. But I realized that the two have, the Mucks and the Lacrosse both have leaks, and then that left me with these. And on real cold days, if I'm going to be in a tree stand all day, my feet are going to freeze. So I started looking for a solution. In the past, several years ago, I bought the Thermacell heated insoles, and they lasted about 4 days. And if you read the reviews, it seems like everybody says that. I mean, the first day, I was like, oh, this is great. This is going to solve my issue. But they're junk. They don't have any longevity whatsoever. Every review, it just says, oh, they worked for a week and then they stopped working. So I thought, well, maybe I should go back and get another pair. Maybe I just got a dud. But I was reading the reviews, and everyone else said the same thing. So I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get the Thermacell. Well, I went to the store and I started looking at boots, and this is what I ended up buying. It's a Sorel Glacier XT. Paid $160 for these boots. Now, these are heavy, and I was worried. I knew they were heavy, but I'm willing to sacrifice some weight for warmth, especially if I'm going to be tree stand, in a tree stand all day. My hikes are up to a mile, and I said, what, I can deal with the weight if they keep my feet warm. So I've been able to test them, and although they are heavy, it's not bad. Do I want to track deer for 5 miles all day long? No. If I'm going out to track deer, I'm going to wear the Arctic Sport. That's what I wore today. That's what I wore yesterday, because there was snow and I was tracking. But when I'm going to my tree stand, or I'm going to sit in a ground blind and it's cold all day, this is the boot that I'm going to wear. I'm really excited about them. I'm telling you, my feet were warm. And it was 6 degrees last week, or 3 days ago actually. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. 6 degrees. I was sitting on the ground, and my feet did not get cold. They did not get cold. Now, there's a little more to it. You got to have the right sock combination. It's more than just the boot. You've got to have the right socks, and this is what I do. This is for cold. I'll do this anytime when it's below 40 degrees. Start with a polypropylene liner. I have several pairs. That's what you start with. Go to a hiking store, you can find them. Go to a good hunting store, ask for a polypropylene sock liner. What this does is, when you're hiking, your feet will get warm and they'll sweat. And wet feet equals cold feet. These wick the moisture away from your skin. So that's a must. Start with that. On top of those, these are the best socks that I've found. They are Darn Tough hunting socks. Darn Tough, guaranteed for life. They're made right here in Vermont. No questions asked. Now one has a little hole. I'm thinking maybe I could bring it back. They give me a new pair, but there's nothing wrong with it. I don't know how that happened, but it doesn't affect the sock at all. But these are up over the calf. They're made of wool. They're not that thick, but they're warm. And I have some lacrosse socks that look similar. There's a big difference between these and the other brands of socks. These really keep my feet warm. Up until this year, I only had one pair. They're about $26. I bought a second pair this year. I'm actually wearing them right now. Darn Tough. They're good socks. They're hunting sock over the calf. Now, if it is really cold, like it was the other day, 6 degrees, I'm wearing these boots. I got the liners. I got the Darn Tough socks. On top of all that, I have these, and I'd never used them until this past week. They're called heat holders. I don't know where I got them. I think I got them in my Christmas stocking a few years back, and I'd never worn them. They're very poofy. Now, I bought these boots a size bigger. These are 13. I usually wear 12. So I'm able to put all 3 socks on, these on top, and they fit good. And that combination, I am confident that my feet are never going to get cold. I sat for hours and hours in 6 degrees, and it was perfect. I mean, it was like, I've never experienced that kind of warmth, ever. So I finally found the combination. $160 Sorel Glacier XTs. They're not great for hiking miles and miles, but you know, I've been over a mile and I can handle it. And it's worth it to have your feet warm all day. So when I'm going to be sitting now, I'm wearing the Sorels. If I know I'm going to be covering ground, I'm not going to be sitting for hours and hours, the Arctic Sport by Muck. So there it is. That's the lowdown. I'm really disappointed in those other 2 boots. You know, I still feel like they should last longer than just a couple of years, even though I use them a lot. I pay good money. I'll pay good money for a quality boot if it's going to keep my feet warm and it's going to last and hold up to the abuse that I put them through. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone.